Hi, me again. So today we're doing the preface for the Emerald Tablets audio reading. And I think it's really important that we go over the Emerald Tablets because, for one, it's essentially my Bible, right? It's where I draw all of my inspiration from. But also, I haven't found a really good audiobook reading of it on YouTube. Like, there's a couple that are not robot voices and worth listening to, but I'm gonna be like, there's definitely some flaws in them. So a lot of times when somebody is reading an audiobook, if they mess up, they just keep going, because they've already been reading for 2 hours and they don't want to stop. Which I totally get. I'm not mad about it. But when I've read the words myself for over a decade, I can tell I pretty much have most of it memorized at this point. So anyway, I want to do essentially a better audio reading. But before I do that, I want to give the preface because nobody really does that. And it's super important that you know the backstory of how the knowledge you're about to get came to be within your access, right? Super important. So, Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, preface. And this copy that I have is, if you look up the Emerald Tablets, you're going to see a lot of stuff about Isaac Newton's translation. But it's not a translation. It's a summary. They don't understand. It's not the same because they don't really know the content, but it's a summary. The famous Quadrasecut superior est Quadrasecut inferior. The famous Isaac Newton, interpretation of the Emerald Tablets, which is a really great summary, but doesn't really go into the detail that the actual tablets do. So yes, anyway, here we are doing the preface of the Emerald Tablets. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. That would be Atlantis. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. In it, he incorporated his knowledge of ancient wisdom and also securely secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. For some 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt from approximately 52,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was immortal. That is, he had conquered death, passing only when he willed, and even then, not through death. His vast wisdom made him rule over the various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. When the time came for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the great halls of Amenti, placed in it his records, and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. In later times, the descendants of these guards became the Pyramid Priests, by which Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom, the recorder by those in the Age of Darkness which followed his passing. In legend, the halls of Amenti became the underworld, the halls of the gods, where the souls passed after death for judgment. During later ages, the ego of Thoth passed into bodies of men in the manner described in the tablets. As such, he incarnated 3 times, in his last being known as Hermes, thrice-born. In this incarnation, he left the writings known to modern occultists as the Emerald Tablets, a later and far lesser exposition of the ancient mysteries. The tablets translated in this work are 10, which were left in the Great Pyramid in the custody of the Pyramid Priests. The 10 were divided into 13 parts for the sake of convenience. The last 2 are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large. However, in those contained herein, the secrets which will prove of inestimable value to the serious student. They should be read not once, but 100 times, for only thus can the true meaning be revealed. A casual reading will give glimpses of beauty, but more intensive study will open avenues of wisdom to the seeker. But now a word as to how these mighty secrets came to be revealed to modern man after being hidden so long. Some 1,300 years BC, Egypt, the ancient Chem, was in turmoil, and many delegations of priests were sent to other parts of the world. Among these were some of the pyramid priests, who carried with them the emerald tablets as a talisman by which they could exercise authority over the less advanced priestcraft of races descended from the other Atlantean colonies. The tablets were understood from legend to give the bearer authority from Thoth. The particular group of priests bearing the tablets emigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayas, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Among these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar of one of the great temples of the sun god. After the conquest of the Mayas by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples forgotten. It should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated there. The writer, Dorial, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, which also works through the pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid, the ancient tablets. This, after adventures which need not be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925. Into English is what they meant. Definitely into English at that point. And only now has permission been given, by whom I wonder, for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Now, a word as to the material aspect of the tablets. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through an alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language, characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloy, suspended from a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries. And for one who reads with open eyes and mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read, and the vibration found therein will awaken a response in your soul. In the following pages, I will reveal some of the mysteries which as yet have only been touched upon lighter, either by myself or other teachers or students of truth. Man's search for understanding of the laws which regulate his life has been unending, yet always just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from the material man's vision, the truth has existed, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision by turning inward, not outward in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key to the unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is unutterable, for it exists as an entity in planes which transcend all material worlds or symbols. All material words or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths. And many times the door is not opened because the key seems so great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we can understand that all keys, all material symbols are manifestations, are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in all universes move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planets is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of the law which connect man the material and man the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man. For the mind partakes of both the material and the immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature, and so strengthen his will that it is able to concentrate all powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, life, and love only begins on the material plane. Carried to its ultimate, its final goal is complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the material is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages, I will give an interpretation of the emerald tablets and their secret, hidden, esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. Light of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will open many new fields for thought. Read and be wise. But only if the light of your own consciousness awakens the deep-seated understanding, which is an inherent quality of the soul. And that is the preface. That was Dorial, the one who translated and apparently found the tablets in a Mayan temple of the sun god. Translated into English for people like us. So, first and foremost, thank you, Dorial, for your sacrifice, for your work, for your effort, and for your consideration. I do want to go over a bit and just sort of dumb it down. Depending on where you are in your research and your study and your seeking, there's, things that I guess the first time you read it, you don't really understand, and then you have to read it 100 times at new consciousness levels to get it. But I'm going to break it down for you where I'm at in my consciousness level and my interpretation of what this means, okay? Okay, the antiquity of the tablets, I can't argue with that. I wasn't there hiding in the closet 36,000 years ago. I can't tell you. I have no idea. But I can tell you a little bit about Thoth. Thoth, existed in a time of, before the last great global catastrophe, when people far more advanced than we are now, but where we will eventually advance to, had a different diet, and they had a different mindset, and they had their own golden age, and they ate plants that no longer exist on our earth today, or that still maybe do, but like see deep underground. We can't access them, right? We can't eat them. A lot of those plants were rich with DMT. So Atlanteans, or people of that time period, they had more DMT in their system. And if you know anything about the endocrine system, any type of hormone in your system affects every part of your body. There are receptors in every part of your body for DMT, just like for cannabis. And your body knows what to do with that. And what it does is it gives you more access to your brain. You use more of your brain than the 7 to 20% we use now. That's it. That's what the DMT is for. It literally just opens up more of your brain, more of your mind, more of your access to the ether and the thought realms, and you just have more access. It's like more Wi-Fi, just that's it. So they had that. And not only did they have that, they retained it when we lost ours. The fall in consciousness that happened during what we recorded as the Great Flood, Thoth and his people were out of body at the time, so they were saved from the damage of losing Wi-Fi in that area. So the Pyramid of Giza, I don't know about that. I mean, sure, makes sense. Let's go with it. But also, I want to say that as you read the tablets, you will understand, as Thoth explains the creation of the Great Pyramid, he's talking about not a physical thing. But you'll see, you'll understand. And then in that he escaped death, or that he was beyond death. Death is a thing that belongs to the body. When you have the capacity to leave the body at will, and you expand on that, you also have the capacity to re-enter, or enter another body, or create another body and then enter it. You have choices when you're not stuck in a body. And passing only when he willed, and even then not through death. That's what I mean. Like, you just, the body dies. If you're not in your body when it dies, it doesn't affect you, except that you can't go back to that body, which is fine. And so immortal in that way, in that he didn't depend on his body, because he could leave it whenever he wanted, because that was a thing they could do with all their extra DMT and all their extra brain capacity. Pyramid priests, yeah, that makes sense. And then too, in the Bible, there's a whole bunch of this too, you know, like the whole Ark of the Covenant situation where they carried the tablets, the 10 Commandments of God or whatever, and they carried it around like the desert in circles for 40 years, or just wherever they went. They carried this Ark of the Covenant, and it gave them authority over the other priests. This is where they got that. This is actually what they're talking about there. Just saying. And then the Mayas, yeah, they were a part of that Atlantean civilization. That's why they had pyramids, very much like the Egyptians. And then it goes into, okay, symbols. Symbols are keys to doors leading to truths. If we can understand that all keys, all material symbols, are manifestations, are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. So third eye consciousness is not a thing that you're given. It's not a thing that you can buy at the store, and it's not a thing that you're born with. It's a thing that you open with a key. Yes, it's already there, but not really. It's intangible, so you can't open it with tangible things. And what this means is that everything is a material symbol, which means that everything is a key to something. Everything, literally freaking everything. Your higher spirit talks to you every day through the TV, through the radio, through your friends, through the stoplight, through anything. Your higher spirit is constantly trying to give you messages, but has to speak your language. So it has to do it in media and in interactions that you have with people and things that you accidentally run across. Anything that's an accident that you weren't expecting, that you weren't prepared for, pay attention to that. That's a key. It's a key to something that you're not seeing. But yeah, third eye consciousness is just you accessing more consciousness, more awareness consciously. And the secrets to understanding that are here in these pages. Read and be wise. But only if you read with an open heart and an open mind, and understand that, just like the Bible, there are layered meanings underneath every verse, underneath every phrase. Everything means more than what it would on the surface. These words are not able to contain the power they are meant to convey. But what we have to do as initiates is to see the unseen. And by see the unseen, I mean we need to read between the lines. We need to take these words, suck out their actual meaning, and just see that. And if you can do that, you can gain enough wisdom to activate your third eye subconsciously, without knowing, without seeing. And over time, you realize that that's what you're doing. It's not an all of a sudden thing. It's over time of small, tiny bits. Like the way the world was formed. Tiny bits over time. Let's get to it.